Previously on the platform. The Polar Star opens gas hunting season at the Sakhalin Shelf.
We do this for good luck, so the drilling will work out well.
There have been several failed attempts to start drilling. Meanwhile, the Pelican transport ship reaches the platform, bringing a new shift of seamen to take over the watch. The Polar Star is the first drilling rig in Russia able to operate at depths of up to 7.5 kilometers. This structure of iron and steel weighs almost 60,000 tons and is as high as a 36-story building. The Polar Star has just 30 days to strike gas.
Never in all my life have we been able to finish a job on time.
It's tough work for real men who have to be determined to overcome any challenge. Sergei Kharahorkin, driller.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
Alexei Gryzlov, drilling foreman.
Guys, you can see he's struggling. Go and help. Why are you just standing there? Give him a hand.
Alexander Leshukov, assistant driller.
We're working on deck with the seamen. They're delivering our cargo. Now they're transferring a basket.
Pyotr Deshkovich, bosun.
Dmitry, what progress? Where are you?
Dmitry Lobanov, seaman.
No traces of fire found. Must be a false alarm or something.
In the platform.
Turns out I wake every morning to music. I have 3 alarms set to 3 different times. Cell phone for 12:45, laptop 12:55, and my player for 12:56. I have 3 barriers to break through. I try to sleep enough to get my head working properly. That's important because this is very dangerous work and you need to concentrate.
After 30 years of experience, the bosun is quite accustomed to the rolling motion. Other sailors had a tougher time aboard the Pelican.
The ship makes them sick. Once I drank some kvass and then some milk. That was rough.
You could have taken mint with it.
Well, I ran to the head and then at the basin, then back and forth again and again. It was awful.
How was your Pelican trip? Everything okay?
It was tough. It got harder when we rounded the Cape. You know, that moment when you're in your bunk, you raise your head to have a look, and then it hits you.
And because it took you a whole day to get there?
Yes.
24 hours of rocking.
It never stopped. It started like this, then it went like this. I saw the sea for the first time in Odessa in 1970. Odessa was where my elder brother Vasily lived. His daughter had just been born, so my mother, grandfather Nestor and I, we all went to see her. That was the first time I saw the Black Sea. Of course, at first it seemed enormous. It was in April, it was still dark, and the sea was black, and it was indeed black. I was in first grade at school, and I was lucky to see the sea then.
This is the dryer where we hang our work clothes after the laundry.
The drilling crew has to work in all weather conditions, be it freezing wind or baking sun. That's why everyone is issued with 3 sets of work clothes for their 30-day rotation.
The belt is to provide back support. I am a young specialist with the company. That's my position. I moved up the career ladder quite fast, but now I'm kind of stuck because there aren't many drilling vacancies. But when they do appear, the opportunity comes up. They offered me the job of safety engineer, but I refused because I wanted to stay closer to drilling.
So, time to get started.
Yeah, let's go.
While Alexander takes over the watch, the bosun must prepare a basket for moving foreign contractors from the transport ship onto the platform.
The bosun is the senior assistant's right hand. He comes ahead of all other sailors who take orders. He has to be strict. A gentle bosun is no bosun at all. By the way, they also have bosuns in the Navy, so at sea you can't get by without them.
I think the job of bosun and a sergeant major in the army are very much alike. They're the same, in fact. Sometimes you have to praise people, and sometimes you have to shout at them, and maybe not just once. Mooring alongside the rig here is absolutely forbidden. That means the ship can't approach us. Only a helicopter or a transfer basket can be used. Actually, this basket was made for a single use to transport customs officers aboard. Well, it's been here 2 years now, and we're still using it.
Fur seals have become frequent guests aboard the Polar Star.
They lie there on the pontoon. There is no way to move them. They just lie there sunbathing.
Meanwhile, our Hawkins crew has drilled through more than 200 meters of rock.
Oh, hello.
We're just gonna have a look around, okay?
Just a minute, Alexander. Come over here.
Alexander, come here.
Englishman, hee.
Come on, Alexander.
Yes. We're just gonna have a look around, yeah? Just to plan the surface tree and...
They say they want to have a look around and make a plan.
Oh, okay then. I've got an unfinished higher education. Well, now I want to finish it. I've rejoined the college. I tried to finish it before, but I used to say to myself, I'll do it tomorrow. But it doesn't work like that. They're so bright, easily spotted next to ours. It's good.
They stand out.
Good.
Thanks.
I've got 4 years of experience in the oil and gas industry, including my practice at college. I worked as a translator in Norway, and I worked in the office as an assistant. I also worked as a logistics manager, and I taught at a college.
So let's have a smoke, huh?
Take it to the main deck.
It's become so hot.
Sailor Dmitry Lobanov has been given an important task. He has to help the safety engineer inspect the general condition of all rescue equipment aboard, including the helipad.
We're now on the steering bridge deck. This is the upper deck on the rig. And here we have various items of rescue equipment. This is a very basic one, the life buoy. It's used when there's a man overboard. You just unhook it and throw it over the side. It's mandatory to keep the halyard fastened.
I think it's around 3 degrees above zero right now. It's a critical temperature for the human body. I don't think I'd last more than 5 minutes in the water. You know, the Sea of Okhotsk is harsh. There have been some tragic cases. People saw it on TV. Some ships disappeared. There were no distress signals. People drowned, you know? It's a really rough place.
Dmitry Lavrinyonok is a safety engineer. He's a young, energetic guy. He's a driller himself, and he knows the technology of drilling. And he knows a lot about the maritime world, too.
Here's our covered lifeboat. The helipad has been tested. It's ready to receive helicopters. Test went pretty well. No one had any negative comments. I decided to become a sailor because my dad and my brother both went to sea. You could say it runs in our family. But for some reason, Mom wanted me to be a lawyer. I lost my parents. My dad died 4 days after I came back from the army. I got back on the 18th of November, and Dad died on the 22nd. That was the kind of holiday I had after leaving the army. Later, my mom had a stroke, so I had to work on two fronts, going to sea and looking after Mom. I was waiting for the right moment and getting ready. I wasn't just sitting on my hands, but looking for options. I took different jobs, sailed under different flags. That's all right now. I've worked here successfully for more than 2 years.
A helicopter is one of the fastest means of transferring the crew on board. You must be extremely careful almost everywhere here. This is a dangerous place, both in terms of working here and just in general. Everyone knows about the major crash with the American Chinook transport helicopter. It was delivering the crew to a gravity drilling platform. The pilot approached the wrong way, and the helicopter fell off and into the sea. 45 people died. That was a major accident.
Over there are our fire safety posts, fire extinguishers. We look at the labels to check that they haven't expired. We have to send them to the mainland so that they'll send new equipment or check that this is still good, and then they'll extend its certification. I'm a sailor, and I intend to remain one for now. No promotions needed. Whenever it's possible, I'll try to move on. I think everyone is trying to move up the career ladder around here.
Now we're under the helipad. You can see it's an impressive metal structure that's capable of withstanding a helicopter landing on it. In general, the crew come here quite often. For example, I know Alexander Leshukov likes to come here and call his mom.
This whole complex is actually the drilling platform. It's the main part. Our task is to ensure that it works continually. There are special people over there, level 6 drillers. Over there, the process never stops, and we try not to bother drillers in their cabins. To be honest, we have nothing to do there. There's plenty of work on deck. We have to work on maintaining good conditions for the drilling. In my opinion, the most dangerous professions on the platforms are the drillers and their assistants, and well, the sailors. We hand the very heavy pipes over to them, and so on. They've got a lot of exposed rotating equipment out there.
The Polar Star is literally crammed with electronics. Even after 20 years of experience, Sergei still couldn't find an error in the control panel settings, and drilling had to be stopped.
Alexei, over.
Yes, Sergei.
Can you change the setting from your computer? Mine's skipping it. Set it to 115, please.
I have no access yet either. Call the IT team, please.
All the electronics froze. We've got ordinary Windows. It's frozen. The same old crap.
Not even experienced drillers will be able to start working here straight away. A lot of electronics. There are many things that nobody worked with on land, or even at sea. There was some doubt about whether we'd even be able to run a plant like this at all.
Can you change the setting?
Yeah.
I need it to be set. See, it says access not allowed on the driller's login.
Ah, you mean the descent rise setting. Yes, it's here.
No, I was just changing it.
Try it again.
It was all right. It moved.
You mean the descent rise thing?
I calibrated it just before, and see, it has jumped over.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Like this.
Sorry.
Ivan, it's all right. Nothing personal.
I needed a reason to invite him here.
We haven't seen him for so long.
He doesn't pop in at all.
We just wanted to say hi. There are a lot of subtleties here. This tick keeps jumping up all by itself. Everything on the display has to be noted. I've worked in this field my entire adult life. Actually, I've done all jobs, starting as drill assistant, and I worked as a driller. I like my profession. I don't want to be a drilling specialist. I'm quite happy with what I have here. These things are relative. The post of a master chief. They don't control the actual process, only from afar. In fact, the real control and decisions are in my hands. I'm the driller. I like it that way.
The smoking room offers the chance of a little rest while working on a tough shift, but it's a long way from being possible every time.
Attention deckhands. Sensor triggered at the vibrating panel. Repeat vibrating panel. Inspect and report.
Roger.
The vibrating panels?
Yeah, let's go.
Fire is the absolute worst thing that can happen on a platform. There is almost no chance of survival. That's why the crew acts extremely quickly any time a fire alarm sounds.
We've reached the vibrating panel room. Everything's fine.
A fire safety sensor triggered. We went to check and everything was okay. Everything was fine. We had a fire extinguisher and water ready. False alarm.
There are displays from the smoke sensors on the captain's bridge, and so we have to check everything immediately. We made sure everything was all right and reported back to the captain's bridge.
I'd say that Roman Tarasenko is a bit pretentious. When he eats, he keeps everything in perfect order. Forks, plates, and so on. And he has to have napkins.
Alexander, leave it there, please. Let me eat my fish. I'll go later. Put out some more fish, please. The guys will come over, they'll eat it.
Okay.
I want to have some too.
Right, we need phosphorus. Our rig is called HSDR, which stands for Half Submerging Drilling Rig. It's self-propelled with its own engines. This rig is extremely power-consuming, and it's stuffed with cutting-edge equipment. And honestly, it's quite impressively big, one of the biggest in the world. The lower deck, we call it the main one here. All freight operations take place here. On our right is the wooden platform where different freight is kept. On the left are the tubing containers, where we load the pipes that we eventually pass on to the drillers. Here's a tube of 5.5 inches diameter. Say a kilometer of them can easily fit in one container. When drilling isn't underway or during a shutdown, the rig is almost empty. There is nothing here. Everything's put away and returned. When the drilling is on, everything is crammed in here very tightly because we need it all.
Unfortunately, our field is falling so far behind the West. It's just staggering. We had everything before. Our geological technology and gas derricks.
Great ones.
We had special research institutions in our field.
They were good specialists. Our equipment was no worse.
We worked on progressing technology and now nobody needs it. It's easier to buy something than to create it. We're good at making tanks and we sell gas.
And our ballet's the best in the world.
Our ballet and our opera are the best.
My first car was a Volvo 345. It was a very good car. Comfortable, mobile, with great fuel consumption. My second was a Soviet Zhiguli. At that time I liked the car very much, especially in winter when it would get into trouble, and there were troubles almost every day back then.
Hey there, come on, don't block the passage. Where should we put this?
Yeah, the passageway must be clear.
Okay then, we'd better get started.
Now, I have absolutely no problems with my Japanese car, although it was assembled in the USA. You just put the key in the ignition, turn it, and start the engine, and off you go. Now we're slowly and carefully working on the loading. At the moment, there's so much expensive equipment on the rig, our maneuvering is a bit restricted. The whole drilling crew, all the electricians, are specially trained so they don't have to bother us. That's it, the power is off, and the forklift has brakes. Now you can leave it easily, it will stay there.
Oh, there's a fledgling flying around. Actually, he's already dead. He'll be finished in a couple of days. The drilling generates strong electromagnetic fields, and perhaps that interferes with the compass in their heads. The fledglings get stuck in here and they just can't fly away. After 2 days, it's over. We collect the bodies around the deck. It's a pity, but what can we do? When we were in Kholmovka, we caught them and set them free. They flew all right then. They can't fly off once they get to the drilling rig. It's just too far. Even cormorants won't fly here. Otherwise, there would just be bird turds all over the place.
Not even rats live here.
Yeah, they just like to hang out for a month or so. Yeah, right. Oh, I mean, thank God there are no cormorants here, because if you go to sea somewhere else and they are flying around you, you have to duck away from them all the time. And when they overeat, it's just a nightmare.
To ensure that not a minute is lost during the rush for gas, the bosun has to deliver tons of equipment to the drillers every day.
Every day we have extreme situations. Each piece of freight has its own center of gravity. So when you start moving it, with cords running in one position, when the crane lifts it higher, then the wind can cause the freight to swing. It can get warped, and you can never tell what might happen after that. The only thing you can do is stand there praying that this one will get down to the deck as quickly as possible and that everything will be all right. At the moment, we're actually doing the delicate job of a jeweler with the crane. The slightest shift to the right or left could lead to damaging very expensive equipment, which might lead to a long shutdown for the whole rig.
This bobbin is worth more than an executive-class Mercedes. That's why Piotr treats it with extreme care.
Do we lower it now?
Yes, yes.
Is it set?
Yes, it's there. Put it down.
What a wonderful day.
But the bosun was mistaken. Just after he left for a smoke, there was a serious development on the Polar Star. Alexei Grozlov received reports that the drillers had encountered shallow-lying gas.
If that gas escapes into the water and rises, water density will be reduced and the platform could stop floating and simply go under. It could lead to a catastrophe.
Every gas well is a gamble, and here the stakes amount to many millions. This time, though, the numbers just didn't come up.
Well, we always get surprises and problems. It's just so typical of drilling. when you have the unexpected waiting at every turn. Of course, it's sad to abandon a well, but sometimes you really have no choice.
And that's the case here. Drilling at this well is very likely to be forced to end.
Emergency situations only ever happen when people are relaxed. They say, it's over now, it's all right, we can relax. Barely anything left to do. And this is exactly when you have to focus most and do everything properly.
Because so much money is at stake, Chief Engineer Yuri Dobrilka has no alternative but to call Moscow.
Well, I have to check out the figures, and then I'll let you know. Okay, we'll do it. I'll call you. Drilling oil and gas wells, especially at sea, is a very expensive undertaking. Each well costs tens of millions of dollars.
Now it's time for the company directors in Moscow to make the tough decision, as there's very little time before the end of drilling season. Next time on the platform. The Polar Star's future depends on a decision in Moscow.
I won't sign anything.
Tensions between Russian and foreign specialists are growing. Sailor Dmitry Lobanov falls for a charming lady who arrives aboard the Polar Star.